my name is Jess Berner, and I decided to do William Shakespeare, and I focused on 3 different female characters that Shakespeare has: Catherine, Juliet, and Cleopatra. So I'm going to start out with Catherine from Taming of the Shrew. Catherine is considered a shrew, and this is a woman of temper, and there's actually a speech in her show where she is considered to be a feminist. There's actually a debate in the Shakespeare world whether or not the speech is her being a feminist and going against the ways of the time. She's forced to get married because her younger sister wants to get married, and during that time the eldest had to be married before the youngest could be married. So Petruchio comes and he is kind of bribed with money for him to marry Catherine. And again, there is a controversy whether or not her last speech is about feminism and whether or not they should abide by the rules of men during that time. To talk about a modern adaptation to this, in 1967 there was the play Taming of the Shrew, and Elizabeth Taylor played Catherine. Sorry, forgot her name. Played Catherine, and then Richard Burton played Petruchio. So next I'm going to talk about Juliet, and there's actually a quote from Shakespeare's Unruly Women, and the authors say, "All Shakespeare's women, being essentially women, either love or have loved or are capable of love, but Juliet is love itself." So everyone really knows the story about Romeo and Juliet. She falls in love with Romeo. She's not supposed to because the Montagues and the other family are not fun. They're not fond of each other, the Montagues and the Capulets. But she's considered love itself because she's just really endearing, and she's one of the most famous characters, especially female characters, that Shakespeare ever wrote. And a modern adaptation of this is actually pretty recent. In 1996, there was a movie where Claire Danes played Juliet alongside Leonardo DiCaprio, and this is extremely modern. They completely changed the setup and the design of what it usually would be, but it is a really famous movie of Romeo and Juliet. Lastly, I want to talk about Cleopatra and Antony and Cleopatra. Cleopatra is actually my favorite Shakespeare character that I've ever actually gotten to play and learn about. She's an extremely complex character because has a lot of different emotions. She's in love with Antony, but she is also the Queen of Egypt, so she has to remain very stern, and she doesn't show a lot of her emotions, even though she is a very emotional woman. So in the play, there's a lot of famous scenes, and the most famous scene, from at least my perspective, is when she is told about Antony marrying Octavia, because during the scene she has to keep her composure and be the Queen of Egypt, but at the same time there's also these moments where you really get to see her be a woman and just be purely herself and not be afraid of having that emotion that I think someone in her sort of stance of power always felt like she had to have, that she couldn't be sad or truly feel loved even though she was deeply in love with Antony. And Elizabeth Taylor also played Cleopatra. She plays many of Shakespeare's most famous women, and it was again with Richard Burton in 1963, and this is one of the most famous performances of Cleopatra ever done. And these are my citations. Thank you.